You're now listening to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Straightforward, no nonsense business advice. Completely unfiltered. Grow your business. Grow your life. Now, here's your host, Brian Fullerton.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. It is your host, Brian Fullerton, here, hanging with you guys. And today, we are excited about hanging out with none other than the man, Caleb Auman. How's it going, Caleb? How are you doing today?
I'm good, buddy. What's up with you, man?
We are living the dream, man. Just kind of hanging out. We're just going to kind of spitball a little bit here on the podcast, a little FFA, a little free-for-all action. You guys are actually up here from Columbus, Ohio, joining us for tomorrow. We're all going to be kind of just tag teaming at the 2022 Techo Showcase, I think is what they call it. So we're really excited about that. And so we're actually recording this podcast episode. You're at my house. We're hanging here in the living room. The ladies are doing the baby thing, just kind of playing with little baby Emmy. And Kayla and I were already just spinning our gears, talking about business, life, finance. I mean, anytime you get around good quality people like this, we just start talking shop and business and how's things going. And I said, hold on. We gotta do a podcast because that's how we all do it, right, Caleb? We all create content. So
that's the name of the game, man.
How's things going with you, brother? What's new?
Good. I can't complain. We're, the big news in our world, we're about to start a shop build. So that's like aside from getting work sold and scheduling, actually is our biggest dilemma at the moment, getting work scheduled for, the landscape jobs that are committed. And it is so funny. And I'm sure you get this too in the lawn world and landscape world still like us, but you get one warm weather day in the phone, like just you get all of a sudden approvals for work you've been sitting on for a month, out, or like new people call as soon as the temperatures get up just a little bit or one sunny day. It is so amazing this time of year when just the phone will go nuts on one sunny day.
The buzz is kind of in the air.
Oh, people are so what for Anno Domini here, like you already mentioned, it's 2022. But I mean, it's the end of February here, and everybody's cabin fever, and I think real bad.
Yeah, I was going to say mid-February. Is that good on your volume, by the way? Does that sound good?
Down just a fuzz, actually, would be
a little louder.
I can't stand the sound of my voice anymore. So.
Well, I don't know. I mean, but by the way, quick mention. You guys are past $200,000 or $250,000 downloads. Which was it?
It was just over 200.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations to you guys.
Thank you, sir.
Just 2 weeks ago.
You hit I guess it's somewhat of a notable number to yourself here.
Yeah. I mean, we were actually able to, upload a podcast Monday, Wednesday, Friday this week. So.
Oh, well, I was going to say downloads there, but yeah, good job there too.
Well, the schedule is always fun to commit to. It's a lot of work to run a podcast. We hit 1 million the week before the Hype House.
Is that more than 200? Is that more than me, or at 200,000, or is that less? I'm not real good at math.
It just depends if you're using like government math, or what is that called? Common Core,
Dude, my daughter is doing that, the Common Core, this crazy math in her school, and how she's doing, oh God, this is how dumb I am. 3-figure.
Okay.
Three digit. See, I did really well in school, kids.
Well, you said 3 figures. That's my company. So
yeah, right. Well, there we go. three digit subtraction. So 300 minus like 200, and the way they make them break this out is so strange. It works, but it's weird as heck. And I'm just trying not to be old dog new tricks thing, but
no,
dude, it is screwy the way they're doing that. So, anyways,
I saw somebody do like an Instagram video, IGTV thing on how you break it down, and I'm like, that literally makes no sense, and it looks like twice the effort versus versus what, old school PEMDAS or whatever that is, right? Remember that PEMDAS, like
what was it?
Parentheses, exponents.
Oh my gosh, multiplication, division, and something else.
We're already getting too math on this podcast.
Yeah, that's algebra, isn't it? That's algebraic breakdown. Isn't it?
It's either that or geology. I don't know, one of the two. But or is it geometry? I don't know. But so which I obviously clearly aced all those 4-point, right?
Yeah, we were talking about school records earlier today. We're both shining examples.
Yeah. Well, we were both talking about what are we going to tell our kids alternatively for school, like because we weren't maybe the most star acumen academics, So I'm thinking to myself. Hey, don't let it be an omen, and don't let it also be a tomb that you got to like wear around your neck that you're going to be a failure or a success if you do good in school.
Yeah, that's a great. We talked about that in the car. That was a great way to put that. Is like don't let that define you.
Yeah, right? I think because if it did for me. By getting a 4-point, maybe I would have thought I was better than I am, and if I got a 2-point, maybe I thought I was worse than I am. The reality was probably neither were true.
Yeah,
because college and even high school, I guess, is just scrimmage. There's not really a lot of real life skills learned. Now, if you like got an E and the curriculum was all taxes, finances, business, life, people skills, communication, relationships, and health, well, then maybe you got to really reevaluate life.
Well, it's like that meme that was floating around a while ago. It was like there's a classroom in the jungle and all the animals are sitting there and the teacher's telling the fish to climb a tree.
Yeah.
And there's monkeys sitting there and they were doing a tree great, but the fish, not so hot, but you throw him in his element and he's going to crush, right?
That's it. That was a whole nother, that could be a whole nother podcast as well.
Yeah, but, I don't know where you want to go with this.
Yeah, anyways. Well, I mean, that's what we do. We start talking about business and life and philosophy. I think we were name dropping Caleb's alter ego, Jordan Peterson. Who was, by the way, thanks again for taking myself to that event. That was actually really eye-opening experience. Just crazy. If you guys don't know Jordan Peterson, the more I hear from him, the more I listen to him, the more, and this has probably been over the last 12, 18 months, really, really enjoying his content. Actually, Liz and I are reading, some of you guys have kind of...
Yeah, I saw you pick that up. That's cool.
We got it on the table, 12, is it Rules for Life?
Yep.
So we're going to both dive into that. Have you read that one?
I've not read it, but I've heard the audio version of it, so I don't know if that counts, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you consider somebody listen? Do you say you read the book? How do you say that when you say you've done the audible version?
Well, I will say yes and no. I think conceptually, like hearing what somebody has to say is great on an audiobook. If you're asking if reading a book is the same thing as listening to a book, I will 100% say no.
You're right. I could agree with that. Yeah.
Because what reading does is more than just getting the knowledge. It's creating new brain grooves, and it's requiring you to sit still and focus. And that is an entirely different conversation than having busy noise like yak radio on in the background or a podcast, right? So when you listen to an audiobook, you're not typically sitting there at your desk with a notepad consciously taking notes. At least I'm not.
Yeah, I won't commit time like that to some. I'm driving where I can actually listen to it, or I'm doing a task that I can actually focus on.
Sure.
What I'm listening to. That's interesting. Yeah.
So I like audiobooks, but it's kind of like a half credit compared to like sitting down and reading the book, right?
Yeah, right.
Because when you sit down and read, you have to sit down, read, focus.
Right, yeah. That's interesting.
It's a whole different dynamic, and that real change comes from reading a physical, tangible book. So, because we could have, just like you said, got the book on Audible, and I probably will get the Audible version of the 12 Rules of Life book from Jordan Peterson, just to have in tandem. But I told Liz, like, order me a copy of the book. So when I want to really read and learn and study and apply and change brain grooves, I 100% always get a physical book. That's how you can tell if it's a priority for me or not.
Yeah, right.
Because other books I read, I'm like, yeah, I'll listen to that on audio. But anyway,
have you actually gotten into it yet?
No. So I was just going to say, some folks were asking me to share, which is kind of just a fun little, I guess, parlay into this whole conversation. But some folks know that I want to read 2 books a month, just for a goal for 2022.
Yeah, that's a great goal, by the way.
Yeah, it's just something to we've always been avid readers the last decade, plus.
Every time I'm like, dude, have you read this book? You're like, yeah, I read it like 10 years ago. Well, I'm like, okay, well, never mind.
No, self-help books were my lifeline, so the Robert Kiyosaki's to the Dave Ramsey's to whoever, right? Pick your guy. But anyway, Liz and I want to read 2 books a month for this year. I think she wants to read like 3 because, it's got a +1 me, right? Just kidding. So, for March 1st, into the second week of March, we're going to read Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules of Life book. So if you guys want to pick it up, and maybe I'll be able to banter a little bit on another episode, like halfway through or something. It's a meaty book. It's about 300 some pages. It's probably not going to be an easy read either. He's a very intelligent, writer and speaker and author and philosopher guy. But anyway, if you guys want to pick it up, get on Amazon and get it next day, and you guys can read in tandem. Maybe Liz and I will do a little debrief in a week or 2 on that book. But anyway, we were just talking business and life and success, and we're just cutting up when we were at some barbecue here, as these guys came and joined us the night before going to the Techo showcase event, which is actually where I wanted to maybe steer the conversation a little bit, Caleb, talking about something that some people do, some people don't do, but I think more of us need to evaluate the opportunities out there in the field. And you've always been from what I hear from your podcast, you've gone to events and seminars and webinars and contractor showcases, right? I want to talk about that for just a few minutes, because here's the deal. You're 10, 15 years, 20 years, I guess, now in business.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Two companies, one up and down, another one now just going through the roof. You guys' story has already been well documented on my podcast. But for the new listeners, I guess, actually, let's do that really quick. Just not to beat a dead horse, but give the 60-second highlight reel because there is new listeners. So maybe they don't know Caleb and Brittany Auman and your guys' story.
Yeah, I mean, I started a lawn care business right out of high school, or actually during high school, and ran that actually, I think, fairly successfully for 5 years. And then I tried to grow beyond what I was capable of in many different realms from the next 5 years. So 10 years in, crashed that company, bankrupt a whole bit. Like, it was gnarly. Got married to Brittany. We started a new company. I mean, like, turned the page, started a new company. There wasn't any time in between closing the old one, starting a new one. Okay. Got married. Brittany, my wife, owns the company. My wife, she owns the company from that turning point. Well, now, gosh, Brian, 12 years ago now.
Is that right?
Crazy, man.
Time flies.
Dude, it's insane.
I feel you. I feel you.
So 12 years ago, and worked on rebuilding that thing and bringing it out, as you say, getting out of the desert, which is a phrase I say a lot now because I like that. So we were in the desert for a long time. Started getting that thing, really turned a corner about 7 years ago now. And then really still turn another corner. It's just funny, you know, what you think you're doing, and you're like, and then you turn another page, and it's like, oh man, you know, gosh, you know, we made it, you know, you're like, we're out of the hood now, you know. But it's just so cool to see that kind of growth. But yeah, I mean, I attributed a lot of that to, just never stopping trying to teach myself something, right?
Well, that's where I want to take this for a couple of quick minutes, talking about industry events or really just education. You know, we got the Launchpreneur Academy, you got the Hardscape Academy, you got YouTube and all this mess, but you've always been, at least I can tell from your story and, you know, tidbits you share on the Kid Contractor podcast. I really enjoy, and I'm not just like listening surface level. I always try to like listen another level or two more deep, right? I try to take it like, okay, Caleb was saying this and this and this. Like, so when your company is crashing, my guess is you probably weren't working as much on yourself. You were getting sloppy is what you kind of some things were catching up with you too. And then other times when you're like, hey, we're hitting on all 8 cylinders, life is growing, business is growing, things are growing great. You're probably more in the hunt, in the mode, in the zone, and you're pouring into yourself. You're reading books, you're educating yourself, you're associating with good people. So what was always the draw for you? Because you've been doing this for 20 years, going to, you know, contractor showcases and webinars and seminars and even, you know, community college and other college courses. And now here you are 20 years later, you have $1 million company, 5 or 6 full-time guys, you know, fantastic wife that's in the field and, you know, in the office with you. You guys are a team. Why are you driving 3.5, 4 hours to, you know, out of state on a weeknight when you have 3 kids back at home? Why are you coming up here to a contractor showcase? Caleb, you run $1 million business. You've been doing this for 20 years. What are you going to learn tomorrow night? Like, why are you deciding to make that effort and to take your time and money and pour it into coming to something like this, where somebody would say, arguably, this is the last place you need to be right now?
Yeah. For me, it's always been a concern of falling out of relevance with a company that's staying on top of like new techniques and methods and staying relevant there. Now that we're in this whole crazy social space, staying relevant for that reason too, as well, of like understanding newer techniques, newer products, newer styles of, you know, because we're heavy in the hardscape construction world here. You know, colors of pavers that are cool and trending this year. Again, biggest thing on techniques. And I still have forgotten stuff I learned 10 years ago, or maybe I need a refresher course and a reminder, you know? So it's to stay sharp. I mean, I just don't want to, I'm nowhere near a coasting period of my career, right? Like there's no way we can even begin to think about coasting. We can let our foot off the gas a little bit, you know what I mean? We're not working 80-hour weeks as much anymore.
Sure.
But and part of that's by choice, by the way, but
sure.
Cuz there's the 80 hours of by necessity, and there's the 80 hours because I want to freaking take over the world.
Yeah.
80 hours, right? There's a difference there.
We've all been in both.
Yeah, right. and maybe we toy in both sometimes, once in a while. But I'll speak for myself, anyways. But
let me ask you this. Not to cut you off, but what do you mean by being relevant? Like, explain that a little bit more. Open that up for me. What does that mean, being relevant, from tools and equipment to best practices? Give me some examples of that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, you touched on a couple of the big ones right there. Is, you know, let's just start with tools and equipment. So, you know, having your finger on the pulse of the industry of what newer and better tools are out there that are going to save your guys so they're more productive. They can work for you later. I mean, my whole crew we're getting into our 40s. and we hire guys once in a while. They're mid 40s, and even the young guys. We still want to protect their backs and save their backs from handling 80-pound block and 20-pound pavers. We'll move 10,000 pounds of product in a day, and that's all been done manually.
Wow.
And so we want to make sure that we're investing incredible amounts of money in tools and machines that are going to take those loads off my guys' backs, and so that we can work them in that category as much as they want to in an extra 5 years or 10 years, and with no back problems to show for it, right? So we want to make sure we're staying relevant there for the workforce's sake. We want to make sure we're staying relevant for installation purposes of like a big shift in our industry in the hardscape world has been shifting from dense graded base, which is what you mostly see like the highway construction projects built with, to open graded base, which is just a free draining type of angular stone.
Sure.
I can nerd on that. I can get or nerd
Number
out
9,
on that.
Number 57.
You got it.
Talk to me, brother.
And don't ever forget about the 69 stone. You're
world
famous for famous
we have a patent on that. we get a penny per ton. You know what I'm saying? So buy it up.
So so that's been a big shift in our world there of people moving over to that geosynthetic base. Which is, I think, vastly underutilized in our world, which is those foam pads for setting pavers, and that's a whole conversation. It's done right, and you begin to go down that rabbit hole, and people will. That's a hotly contested item right now, so we'll let that go at the moment. But we want to stay relevant for our clients' sake, so we can be a company that's still on the edge of what is. I don't want to be that old contractor, and I find myself falling into that once in a while. Well, we always done it this way,
Absolutely.
We don't want to be that guy. We don't want to be that contractor that's still doing things the same as they did 30 years ago, and it shows it. We don't want to be that.
Well, and that goes full circle to tools and equipment and best practices.
100%.
I mean, there's guys like, for example, in the mow world, right, lawn care world, shout out to Toro and the Toro Grand Stand Multiforce. I mean, that tool is a ridiculous multi-tool. You can mow with it, mulch bucket with it, leaf blower with it, leaf vac with it, dethatcher with it, snow blower, snow blade, and power broom.
Yeah.
It's one tool. And it's like you said, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. You can with me, because that tool, the mower's $12,000, and then each attachment's $1,500 to $4,500. But that tool is like revolutionizing my small business.
Right.
And I'm thinking to myself, imagine the bigger outfits. And so, would I have ever adopted that tool if I didn't watch some great YouTube videos or had some demos? Or thankfully, we have a great partnership with Toro, and they seeded us one, which we're eternally grateful for, obviously. But man, I'm telling you what, if I didn't get one sent to me or had a demo or all that mess, I would have been maybe I would have been a critic. Maybe I would have been like, that's silly. There's dedicated tools for that. But looking back on it, like the last 12, 18 months, I've really turned into a believer. Yeah. And it's not like, just because Toro sent it to us, we're kind of a little past that where somebody's going to send us something, we say nice things about them. It's way beyond that. So that's my point is it's really cool seeing what's out there, and it, like you said, it keeps you relevant, keeps you sharp. And that goes back to customers maybe want different trends. You go to a Techo showcase or pick your place.
Right.
And they're talking about, hey, this is really popular, or, hey, this isn't popular anymore. Or, hey, we were doing this for about 3 years, and then we kind of realized this was not a great idea, and we totally hard turned, turned the ship 90 degrees, and we're not doing that, quote unquote, best practice. But if you don't go to the seminars, the webinars, the conferences, and you're running off old thought process, and here you are doing now a not best practice, or you're not as relevant, So that's why, where did you get that hunger, that appetite? Was it something that was instilled to you from your college professor? What was the guy's name? Dick?
Well, one of them, Dick Ansley, registered landscape architect in the state of Ohio. Great guy, brilliant design mind. He's 5 ways from Friday as far as things going on and just distracted, but
sure.
And anybody, and I'm saying that with love. Anybody knows Dick knows that's how he is.
I know,
but he's a brilliant design mind. He's incredible.
I met him at Expo with you guys.
Yeah, oh, that's right. I forgot. Yeah.
He was a really cool dude. A little all over the place, but he's kind of my style. So am I. But is that where you kind of picked up the adage of wanting to be hungry for it? Because
I don't know. I don't know. When you said that, I'm like, dude, I've never thought. I don't know, man. I don't know where. I think
the appetite.
I just wanted. I don't know, man. That's I'll have to think about that in the dark in a corner for a while.
I
don't know, man.
We're not doing the pause button.
I've never thought about like what drives. Yeah, right. Yeah. What drives that? I don't know. I guess I've always wanted to. Part of it maybe is ego, or just wanting to be like. We've always wanted to be a well-respected contractor. I mean, that's been one of like the company missions is to be like. And I've told the guys that we want to be a company that's well respected, and I want you when you tell people who you work for that you're proud to say that, and other people are like, oh, that's cool, and it's partly ego, I suppose, or maybe all entirely ego, but it's just I think part of it is just we just want to be really good contractors, and we're not perfect by any stretch. We have our faults and flaws, but I don't know. I'll have to think about that some more of like where that actually comes from. I don't know, man.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I've always wanted to do it the right way because I don't want somebody that drives by one of my properties to see us doing something that, like you said, isn't industry best practices.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to bring the industry down, myself.
Yeah, sure.
And we have a lot of eyeballs, a lot of quote unquote pressure, you could kind of say. You know what I'm trying to say. It's like a lot of people looking at us, they're driving by the road like, hey, it's Brian's Law Maintenance. And if we're not wearing safety glasses or PPE or doing things the right way, I don't want somebody to be like, hey, he's not, what's the old adage? Like, he's not doing what he preaches.
Yeah, right. Well, he talks the talk, but does he walk the walk? That's the street version of it. Maybe, right?
There you go. So that's kind of like a self-fulfilling, want to do a good job because here's the deal. I really respect you guys listening to the show. I really respect the other folks in the industry. And I'm always saying on our content, we're trying to elevate the green industry. Sure. And so I don't want to, A, be a hypocrite, or B, be the weak link.
Right.
So I guess that was kind of be a little bit of my MO. But yeah, if you come back to that thought full circle, interject anytime on the podcast. But well, that's really cool though. I'm glad to have you guys up here, and you guys are always about education. Like I said, there's a lot of times where you're listening to your guys' podcast and you're like, hey, I'm going through some notes here back from 2004, and I'm like,
crazy.
Jesus. Oh, Pete's, man, you got notes. How many notebooks do you think you got back at the house?
I do. What I narrowed it down to is probably a couple dozen.
Wow.
But what I had before I moved from the last house we lived at, dude, I had boxes and boxes of notes from college that I just kept. I loved it. Well, we were talking earlier on at dinner, and we were talking about like, I did not and. I say that I want to say this carefully, but like I did not enjoy high school, and I didn't.
We can go back to that whole talk right now. Yeah, go for it.
Well, I didn't. Well,
open mic.
Right. Well, the thing is, I want to be careful with like I don't want to encourage people to not care about school.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So I want to tread lightly there, but I was not. There was things in high school I enjoyed, but I was horrible at homework. Homework seemed so futile to me. I just never wanted to do homework. I just was like, I got way cooler stuff to do at night. Yeah. And it wasn't just playing or goofing. I mean, I was always working. Like, even when I was a kid, I was working around the property there with dad or building something or doing whatever. And it just seemed like, yeah, I got the concept. I'm good. I want to go like put something into more application, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
I do.
And then like, college was kind of the same thing as like, we got all this homework. I just want to sit in class and listen to lecture because I could just imprint it in my head of like what the professors were saying, or if we're on a plant walk, or if we're in structures class and we're talking about geogrids. I mean, it went straight in my head because that's all I thought about. It's all I cared about.
Sure.
And so, like, it kind of goes back to the monkey and the fish in the jungle school. Like, dude, you put me in the water and I'm a fish. Dude, you get me in there, and we were talking about getting signed into classes. Like, you wanted to take like algebra 2 or no, chemistry 2 or something like that. Even though you did so bad because you just enjoyed like learning it, but like we sucked at the school part of it. If that makes sense.
I was not. I love what you said about the fish and the monkey. I saw that one. That was an old one. That's a goodie.
Yeah, it is an older I'd say it was more of a cartoon or a comic back in the day.
But it serves a great point because I was decent at school, but I was also like playing the game, because I realized it was a game, in my opinion. And if you guys are in high school, my rule is always finish high school. Okay.
I would don't drop out of high school.
Yeah,
finish high school.
Don't drop out of high school. Well, nobody here has ever advocated that on our show. But here's the deal. Also realize that high school is not a make it or break it, and in my opinion, neither is college. And so, to go back to the meme or the comic that Caleb was referencing, that's how it was with me back in school. Like, I liked chemistry and I liked physics because it took a lot of thought. It took a lot of mental energy to understand what the heck is going on, right? And it was really engaging conversation. It was fun. It was, and then our teachers made it very. a lot of analogies, very analogous to different things. And I had two great teachers, Ms. Gleason and Mr. Swirkos. I remember them like yesterday. But the ironic thing was I failed Chem 1 and Physics 1. And, to go to Chem 2, Physics 2, you have to get an approval from said teacher to go into the next level. Well, I go back to both said teachers and I said, hey, I want to go for Chem 2, Physics 2, and different teachers. And they both were like, Fullerton, what are you doing? Like, you failed both classes. I'm like, dude, totally. But I'm so excited about Chem 2 and this other teacher with Physics 2. And they both, like, deer in the headlights are like, are you retarded? And I'm like, what's your definition of retarded? Like maybe, I don't know. But I was like, but it was engaging. It was fun. It was good conversation. I tested poorly. I took quizzes poorly. Homework poorly, but right now, if you put anything in front of me and you wanted me to draw all the different chemical strands and nucleuses and the charts, I could help you out with any of that. And I'm not a genius with any of it, but I'm just saying, like, I remember it was fun. Yeah. Physics too. I remember literally we were talking about how light can refract and how light can bend around a planet and how the moon is lit up and why it's lit up and why certain times it's not lit up and all the craziest stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, dude, 17 years later, I'm drawing this stuff out from the deepest of my mind, but I guarantee you right now, if you take any of the other kids back in my class that all tested with A's, couldn't remember a damn thing. But so that's what we were really talking about was raising kids, and how to. Well, you have kids way further progressed than I do, obviously, and you're like, yeah, I don't know, man. Like, what were you saying? You're like, I did good, but like not great. But now, like, I see my kids going through this mill, and it's like I don't want to put pressure on them to succeed with it and do a great job, but I do want them to do a good job, but I also don't want it to like ruin them or make them. Well, I don't know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I think you said it earlier was like, I thought this was brilliant. Don't let your bad grades define you.
Yeah.
And don't let your good grades define you either.
Sure.
Right. Cause that's not going to be what you can really hang your hat on in life.
No.
And that's one of my kids is going to ace school, always just smoke school, piece of cake for him, for her. She's just, that's her, man. She's brilliant. And women in general, maybe you could say that. My other boy, one of my two boys, one of them's going to do okay in school. I think the other one, he's going to have a hard time with it. But he's also realized real early, like, hey, I can go out and shovel the sidewalk and make money, or I can turn in metal. Like I can collect like pop cans and make money.
He's industrious, yeah.
I think he's going to have a hard time with school. And it's not because he's dumb. It's just not where he's going to be able to plug into. And so it's like, I'm gonna.
He's the fish.
Yeah. And that, like, I can relate to that because that was me in school. I did not. I just thought like, man, there's just other stuff I could be doing. Sure. Like this seems like this is a long day when it could be condensed into like an hour or two, and that just drove me nuts. And I don't know. That's the thing I'm struggling with. Is like, Zeke, I know, man. I get it, man. I didn't like school either, but I don't know what to tell you. Like, we got to get through school. I'm struggling with that. I don't know what we're going to do.
Mom's going to kill us both,
And that is also true. So, Brett and I are on the same page with that. And so we talk about
that's good. That's great.
The Montessori concept or
what do you call it? Montessori?
I don't know.
Montessori.
How do you say it?
Montessori.
No, it's Montessori. You're totally
I was like, yo, that's a new one to me. Maybe it's a new philosophy or style.
Might be a high thing. I don't know. Maybe you have Montessoris up here. We have Montessoris at home. I don't know.
I got nothing
there either. See, that's why I don't belong in school. But in college, I was constantly. You're talking about not able to get into physics 2 or whatever.
Yeah.
Dude, in college, I was constantly begging my professors to write me into classes because I didn't want to take the math prereqs and crap. Yeah. Like I didn't care about that, and I didn't really need it for what I was wanting to do because I go sit in that class. And Steve Jobs is a great example of this. He called himself a college drop-in.
Yes.
Because he would constantly just go into like calligraphy classes and all that crap that he was interested in and passionate about. Built this little thing called Apple, turns out.
I've heard of it, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think they kind of died after the pager.
I heard the logo of the company alone is worth like $5 billion. not the company that does $200 billion or whatever, but like just a logo, like Coca-Cola, or like the logo, the name, the trademark is worth like $5 billion. I'm like, oh, that's equity, but
what would you do with it if you had it? I wonder how would you
Coca-Cola, then like an apple in there.
Yeah, right. Like, what do you do with that if you were to buy it? That would be, I guess,
Apple Coca-Cola. Apple flavored Coca-Cola. I don't know.
And that would work. I mean, the brand is powerful enough. It probably would turn something.
I think what I'm deducing.
Like I could see Whole Foods buying it, right?
I don't know. I mean, maybe. I don't know. What do I know, dude? Like, you just say things that you see on Instagram memes, right? And you sound intelligent.
You hear me all the time touting the benefits of the Lawntrepreneur Academy. Hi, I'm Mr. Producer, and it seems like the word is really getting out about Brian's training and resources site. For example, Alexa, I need to learn how to make more money in lawn care. What do I do?
Hi, Marty. The answer is lawnpreneuracademy.com.
Hey, Google. My favorite gal says I need to learn the business side of the lawn care business. How can I best do that?
The answer is lawnpreneuracademy.com.
Hey, Siri, you're always spying on me. You heard my questions. What would you do?
If I wanted to cut grass and make cash, I would visit lawnpreneuracademy.com.
Well, it's unanimous. Even artificial intelligence knows that lawnpreneuracademy.com is the answer to the question.
Marty, I thought I was your favorite gal. What the hell else going on?
That's how it always starts. You know, it's like you say, yeah, a famous guy once said, and then the next time you say it is, yeah, I heard a guy once say it, and then the third time, as I've always said.
That's my whole shtick, man.
That's another old, like,
Picasso says, "Good artists copy, great artists steal." Right?
It's been going for thousands of years, right?
We're not the first people to try to steal fire from the gods.
No, I will assure you, I have no original thought. Very few original thoughts.
Yeah, we're getting line over here, buddy.
Well, I think what I'm deducing from the conversation is creating an appetite and a hunger for education is paramount to success, and that's going to look different, like you said, for everybody. I think, like, going back to Zeke for a quick second, and as an example, okay, maybe he's not going to do, and he could still, of course, be a 4.0 or whatever.
Yeah, who knows? We'll see.
Yeah, but the point is, like, maybe he's a 4.0, maybe he's not. But the point is, maybe he's, like you said, excited.
And Zeke, if you listen to this in 20 years, buddy, I'm sorry.
We're just trying to psychoanalyze you, kid.
You got the world in front of you, buddy. I know you can do amazing things,
like,
whatever it
Dad,
is.
why are you calling me out already?
Yeah, I know, right? I just started thinking about that. I'm like, Zeke, I know, buddy, you can do amazing things.
He's not going to listen to my show. He'll listen to your show. That's why I recorded this on this therapy on this show. But if you instill, all that being said, if you instill that appetite for knowledge and education in him, whether he gets fed from school or fed from YouTube or fed from mom and dad and, like, on the job training, I think one thing that I would imagine would be very, very important to your kids is teaching them and instilling them that desire for and hunger for learning and education in general. Right. And I think that's something that, whether you're 4 years old, 8 years old, or 28 years old, and you want to go to the Techo Block Showcase or a live event or conference or Equip Expo, being hungry for knowledge and quality education is just something that the best in the world are always doing.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're the CEO of a $1 billion company, you're probably still going to CEP, and you have a life coach and mentors. And it's just creating that appetite for knowledge. And I see it at every level with all different people.
What do you think? I've wrestled with this a bit. Mike Rowe.
Yeah.
He has said he has a thing against following passion. He's like, he doesn't necessarily subscribe to you should follow your passion, but you should follow what you're good at. I'm paraphrasing crudely here.
Yeah.
I don't fully agree with that. I think following your passion, I think you should, right? What's your interpretation of that whole thing?
Well, I mean, it's varied. It depends on your outcome, right? Like what you're trying to accomplish. I mean, at the end of the day, right? Because everybody's going to have different goals and everybody's going to have different levels of commitment, I guess, arguably or not. I heard Robert Kiyosaki, I think it was, he did a live, and I gleaned a lot of stuff off of him when he shared some different information about passion versus purpose. And then I took that, I thought about it, I kind of digested it for a day or two, and I came up with the help of Dayquil. This is what. Listen to this really quick. This is actually something I said last year. I don't.
Are you doing my trick?
Yeah,
now?
yeah.
Oh.
It's not an industry update. You know what I'm saying? So it's not going to be as educational. But this is Dayquil talking. So this is from me hearing something from Robert Kiyosaki. I paraphrased it, Cliff Notes, distilled it, and then this is what I had to say about a week later after hearing sort of what he said. But this is also with Dayquil talking. So give me some slack here. Let me see if I can hit play.
On that scissor.
Yeah, right.
All right, guys, I'm here with the man, the myth, Brian's Lawn Maintenance.
What's up, guys?
Give us some words of wisdom, man.
Earlier, Blake and I were talking about purpose versus passion and how sometimes people tell you to follow your passion. Although that could be very bad advice based on some suggestions I've heard and just some things I've learned along the way. You see, your passion usually serves you, but your purpose usually serves other people. So maybe you're really passionate about lawn care, and that's great, but it's potentially self-serving. But there's other things you got to do in life that you don't want to do, but they serve to your purpose. And if your purpose is helping other people, then sometimes you got to do things you don't want to do. So follow your purpose or follow your passion. I'll leave it up to you. But I know that the people who are most happy and most fulfilled are following their purpose, not just their passion.
Thanks, Brian.
There you go.
All right, so that's what I got for you. So you can follow your passion or follow your purpose. So if Mike Rowe, his adage is, don't just follow your passion, follow what you're good at, or something similar to that? Or is that basically what you're
It's
saying
essentially
here?
that, yeah, passion versus purpose, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a definitive answer. I'm 35 and figuring out life like everybody else. What do I know? But my attitude would be, you got to follow your purpose.
Well, Brian, what's your passion? What's your purpose then?
Passion is something that I think that you are
For you, what's your passion in life then?
My passion would be getting a message out that there's another way. I've said that many times on my podcast.
Now, does that correlate with your purpose then too? And you're lucky and you shot 2 stars with 1 arrow?
Well, see, that goes down to a whole nother conversation. I could crack that egg open. Actually, like there's the atom, and there's like inside the atom, you like crack that open, a bunch of other junk spills out. Right, we're all finding out in life. Tony Robbins said there's a difference between success and significance. There's an art of a science of achievement versus the art of fulfillment. So the science.
Say that one more time. I'm sorry.
It was an old talk. Actually, you can find it on YouTube. It's actually this is the stuff I Googled when we didn't have podcasts and YouTube 15 years ago. This stuck with me 12, 13 years ago. It was the science of achievement versus the art of fulfillment. And the science of achievement is really simply how to make money. There's a science and there's a way to run a business, make money. There's things you got to learn, financial IQ. There's ways to make money, and on this planet you need money to survive. Period. Case closed. So there's the science of achievement, but that is entirely different than the art of fulfillment, and that is usually he has 7 things. 4 of them were like science of achievement, 3 of them were art of fulfillment. But the art of fulfillment was love, significance, and giving, if I'm not mistaken. And there might have been more, and he might have updated the talk. But love, you can be successful and wealthy, and have the science of achievement. But if you're not loved at the end of the day or loving, life is shallow. Significance, right? So what's the easiest way to become significant? Was his analogy was to go out and shoot somebody because you're going to be a murder suspect on the news. Significance, although right or wrong, obviously wrong and evil, but people chase significance. And then another one was philanthropy or giving, right? So you can give money and that makes you feel happy and fulfilled as well. So I think to go full circle to your question, and this is a deep one here as we're going to go like 3 levels Keith Kalfa's deep here. But I think passion versus purpose or significance versus the science of achievement, they can interweave. And I think the best folks are the happiest folks are the ones who find a blend of both, right? So for example, if I say I want to help people become more successful entrepreneurs, that is kind of a blend of significance and achievement because I'm going to help people financially. And then I'm also going to have significance out of that because I helped a bunch of people. It makes me feel good.
Right.
So I don't think I have a definitive, like, I need to help 1,000 entrepreneurs make $100,000 a year. I don't think I have it that specific because it's kind of arbitrary. Yeah. Because what we're doing with social media, it's kind of tough. Not my actual lawn care business. We have goals, right?
Right.
But yeah, I don't know if that answers your question. Like the science of achievement versus the art of fulfillment. Here's what I can tell you. I built my social media off of the art of fulfillment more than the science of achievement.
Okay.
Because I knew that if I did it for the money, it would probably ruin me. But if I did it for the art of fulfillment, for love, giving, and helping people and feeling significant, it would ultimately make me have to make pure content to help people out.
Yeah. You see some folks do that and then go down the road of narcissism and just like to where they just turns totally self-serving and just, where it is eventually then it's all about them and it's not like, how do you, I see how people go down that road, man, and how the hell do you keep that at bay? Because if you're human, you deal with that, right?
It's a demon that everybody struggles with. I think whether it's narcissism or like you said, self-righteousness or hiring your own supply, whatever you want to call it. I think the folks know. I think I think in your spirit, when you're listening to someone, you can tell pretty quickly they're in it for them or they're in it for the other person. And Gary Vee is a great example. He talks about that specifically when you're in a relationship or anything you're doing. He always says, give 51-49.
Right.
So give one, at least one more than you get. For me, I've always tried to keep it 90-10. Yeah, it's a balancing act, man. Because like you said, people want to be significant.
Yeah.
And I've seen people do very interesting things on social media and in business, of course,
Sure.
and in the community to become significant. And I don't know, I'm like the reluctant social media guy. You know what I mean? Like if we have 1 million followers or 1,000 followers, it really doesn't it makes a financial difference, I guess. But it's never, when's the last time, if anybody can find a piece of content where I've started like getting, big on my britches and be like, oh, we got this, and this going on, please send it to me and I'll give you $1,000, because I just don't do that. I just don't care. It's not any of the reason we create any of the content that we do. I've always said we've tried to leave breadcrumbs for the Brian's Law Maintenance of 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And I have to remember, like, dude, if I listened to this podcast 10 years ago, would this have really helped me, or was this a self-serving ad or podcast to just serve ads?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I'm
just shooting the breeze, but
yeah, it's great. I think it's awesome. I love talking this stuff, and I think it's an
philosophical podcast now.
Yeah, this is like one of those late night conversations you have, where everybody's getting deep or something. But
yeah,
it's no, I think it's great to talk about, and I think it's. I love the, don't let your, like, back to the school thing, don't let those grades, and it's like anything in life, don't let a tragedy define you, and, and don't let your highest success define you either necessarily, because it's not at the end of the day necessarily who you are.
Don't let your revenue define you.
Right.
Don't let your profit define you. Don't let
Sure.
and this is like where you have to be really grounded. You have to.
Well, I used to think I'd be a default success when I hit 1 million in sales. Back in my first company, it's part of what wrecked me. I thought,
okay,
profit margins don't matter. We got to get to 1 million, and somehow magically everything fixes itself.
Sure.
And we never even got close to it.
Sure.
Barely even by halfway. And I freaking imploded the freaking thing that way.
Yeah.
And
that's fair.
And I thought that was just like the magical thing, just like somehow 1 million will save me. And it wasn't the dollars, and it wasn't it wasn't greedy or anything in that nature. It just seemed like in business, this is what you have to do in the greenish. You got to hit 1 million, or this business is impossible.
Well, and some people, in a more macro conversation, they judge their significance or success based on how well their kids are, or not well. Like, have you ever seen like a parent introduce like their kid who's in college? Like, oh yeah, Billy's in school to be a doctor.
Right.
And it's like, who cares?
Yeah.
I don't care. Like, good for him. But you look at him and he's miserable,
right?
And he doesn't want to be doing it. But the parent is like living vicariously through their kid. We've all heard these kind of conversations. So, or if your kid's really bad and like a terror, like, okay, yeah, there's probably a little bit of a character, something happened along the way, but the parent didn't intervene and develop something. But it doesn't mean that the parent is totally 100% responsible for a 15-year-old kid.
Right.
The 15-year-old has to start taking some life responsibility.
Right.
But some people make or break their ego. And so I don't know, man. These are the interesting.
Life is complicated, man.
Dude, it is. Like, these are the conversations that Liz and I have all the friggin' time. Is like, we have kids and we're want to have more kids, and as life gets busier and family dynamics change, and we always like love hanging around you guys because we were like, hey, you're 3 notches up the Oregon Trail. Give us some perspective, what to look out for. And I know you're very thought-driven, purpose-driven individual yourself, and you get around great people and great thought process. So I'm always like leaning, Caleb, what's new? What's working? What's not working? Like, help me keep my kids out of therapy.
Well, we're both working on that. Keep me out of therapy. God.
Sure.
Our poor wife, keep her out of therapy. Me driving her crazy. Yeah, dude, life is complicated, and the older I get, and it's kind of an epiphany I've had here, actually, thank the Lord, over a few years now. But it's like, I used to think life was pretty black and white, and dude, it is not. It is there. And the one of the greatest things I think I've had is I find myself playing devil's advocate all the freaking time, because there's just so many circumstances you don't know about people of why they're doing something some way, and it could be the craziest little thing you never know and you never see, and the baggage people carry around from things that happen to them or whatever, or just so I just try to. I don't know where I was going with that really, but you just try to, do the best you can, follow, I really think about the passion and purpose thing a lot.
Sure.
And I guess I got real lucky of ended up following my passion that fortunately also is my purpose in life, which is also what'd you say, the science of achievement, is that right?
It's an old talk. You should be able to find it. It's on YouTube.
There's Tony Robbins, right?
Yeah, I love Tony Robbins. Like,
yeah,
people give him a little junk here and there, but dude, he's arguably the GOAT. Like, he's OG.
He's Gary Vee of 20, 30 years ago, whatever it is.
I love Tony Robbins, dude, and back in the day, like, that's all you got to live on YouTube. But it was the art of achievement versus the science of achievement.
Yeah, I botched that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, versus the art of fulfillment.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Well, I heard a quote just a couple days ago. And this is where I'll button it up with. Last thought I have was here's a quote I wrote down in my phone. I love hearing things, and even to this day, still like digesting, distilling, like discerning. What the heck does that mean? And this is a really good, this one, maybe it'll hit you different. This one, it just really stuck home with me. But it said, we question all of our beliefs except for those we truly believe. For those we never think to question.
Right.
You've heard that one before?
Yeah, in different iterations, but yeah.
Yeah, one more time. We question all of our beliefs except for those that we truly believe. For those we never think to question. So it's like you're so set in your ways because you know that's the right way, and you're not willing to challenge anything because you know you're doing it all the right way, except maybe the right way that you're thinking about is actually not the right way. But you never choose to question whether or not your beliefs are true or not.
It's a scary thing to sometimes they'll shake your foundation pretty hard if you question it. But if you're going to be fair with yourself, you ought to.
Well, and that what you just said is actually the money line right there, is that your foundation needs to be solid. And for Liz and I, we're Christians. We base it on the Word of God. And you guys can subscribe to whatever you want to. That's the best part about America. You can do whatever you want. But if you don't have that foundation lockstep and having something already given you an identity that you can subscribe to, that you should live out, then you need to figure that out really quick. Because if not, you'll be blown in the wind and you'll be building the rest of your life in your house on sand. And so you can subscribe to wherever, whatever, Mother Gaia, Jesus, or whatever else. I don't care. Figure it out. But that's if you want to talk deep philosophical truth. And Jordan Peterson, like, he's had that journey and that struggle, and it's been interesting to see his journey through this whole conversation like that.
Oh, the way he is broken, and it's funny. I can't gauge his belief, but the way he breaks it down for me locks it down so well. My belief in God and Jesus is. I was going to ask you if you'd heard this off the podcast, and when we were off the podcast here, but have you heard his discernment, let's say, or his interpretation of Cain and Abel when Cain killed Abel?
I don't think so.
Oh my gosh! So, and this parlays into entrepreneurship. So Cain kills Abel. They both make sacrifices to God. Mm-hmm. Well, God accepts Abel's sacrifice, but does not accept Cain's sacrifice. Right? Mm-hmm. Cain, out of jealousy, kills his brother Abel because he's jealous. Abel just hooked up with God, apparently. Like, got it, in good with God for some reason.
Yeah.
And so, because this is where Peterson just blows my mind the way he takes things apart. So Cain's sacrifice was not accepted to God. It drove him to a murderous rage.
Sure.
And I see people do this with business, is they sacrifice and they put off and they just kill themselves for this business, and the business isn't working out, and they become angry and bitter and resentful. And he says, if you're not careful, that can drive you to a murderous rage, like the Cain and Abel story. And he says this I am butchering the hell out of this. But dude, look this gets me so fired up, Brian.
Yeah.
But look this up, folks. Jordan Peterson, the Cain and Abel, his interpretation of it. But like, if you let your resentment of your sacrifices that aren't accepted, by the entrepreneurial gods or whatever, it will drive you to potentially murderous rage. And that's an extreme example.
Maybe not, though. Yeah.
It gives me goosebumps, man. And it's like, you make this sacrifice, buddy, but there's no guarantee this is going to pan out. Dude, it rocks my world, man.
What gets you so charged up about that? Why does it get you so excited? Like make it personalized for you.
Well, that's a good question. Yeah. I think part of it for me is we have sacrificed so much to get to where we're at, and it's just a reminder of like.
Do you feel like you're in God's graces yet?
It's still not. No, I don't know. Right, that's the thing. And then I'm not super regular going to church anymore, but we hold church at home with our kids every Sunday.
Sure.
But the pastor we were going to church out a while ago told the story of Job. And Job was way back in sheep herding days and all that, was a wealthy man.
Yep.
And God and Satan essentially had a bet, and God said,
"He's my finest."
Satan, do whatever you want with him. He won't turn from me.
Right.
And Job had wealth and land and herds, and what was true wealth of the day, and God let it all go from him.
Yep.
Took it all from him, Brian.
Wife and kids for too, I think.
Yeah, I mean, family members dead, everything.
Yeah,
and he didn't turn from God, and God said, "See, I told you," to Satan, which is which is incredibly scary that God would lift his hedge of protection from you just to test you, right?
Yeah, sure.
And actually, after that was all passed, that trial and tribulation all passed, he ended up with like, sevenfold or something of what he had before. But it's a reminder of like, and this is part, I think and that scared me, man. That scared me bad, because that's when the company was starting to come around. It's like, Lord, we could lose this all tomorrow. My goodness. Just when you think you could put all the money you want in the bank, there's no guarantee it's going to stay there. And it was just like, Lord, I pray that, and Abraham Lincoln at the, I can't remember if it was the dedication of Gettysburg or not, or it was just in general. It's like, let us not so boldly declare that we are on God, that God is on our side. Let us humbly beseech that we are on God's side.
Fair enough.
Right.
Yeah, that's huge.
And so it's like, Lord, I pray that I'm in your graces, that I'm on your side, right? That I'm not just assuming you're on my side, right?
I love all of the above, dude. It gets you thinking. Like, maybe you guys are
life is scary, man.
Right now, you guys are like doing a leaf cleanup or laying bricks, and you're like, I've never thought these thoughts before.
Oh, jeez.
Because I'm telling you what, this is the way more fun conversations. Like, because this is life. This is real life. This is success life. This is, like you said, you're building your family, around these beliefs and these values. Right. This sounds really weird. These two thoughts just like shot through my brain. I gotta just mention them. Two things. One, I heard somebody said, and this probably is not the right way to approach tithing or giving, but somebody said, like, when they started to increase in their finances, they were tithing, and they said something like, dude, I've never missed a tithe because I don't want God to take it all away. So you should be giving out of a spirit of like abundance and love and faith and, blah, blah, blah.
I don't think you tithe out of fear exactly.
No. But that was what the guy was like joking about. He's like, yeah, man, I've never quote unquote missed a payment. He's like,
yeah, right.
He's like, because he's like, his attitude was, I'm a steward of this. And Liz and I have said this 100 times, like, we're a steward of the podcast and the lawn care company and my stupid Tesla. I told Liz, like, you can't let that thing own us or any material possession ever. We get to build a beautiful home. It burns to the ground. We'll cry, but it's not. We can't pretend like we own it. We are a steward of all things that are bestowed upon us.
Right.
So if God takes it away, I don't want us to be resentful because we lost $1 million home or $100,000 car. It's not ours anyway.
Right.
It's not ours anyway. We don't get to take it when we leave. It's not ours. It's entrusted to us. So I don't know if this kind of answers a question like you kind of are proposing, but for me, it's like, dude, don't mess this up. Treat it serious.
Yeah.
Like, don't take it for granted that you have this going on or a nice company or good employees or this or that. Like, dude, like, keep it together and don't be an idiot thinking A, you're better than you are, or B, that you're smarter than you are.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't like walk around in eggshells in my house based on my faith. I walk on faith saying, man, I am so blessed, so thankful, so humble. Every morning I literally tried to wake up every morning and say, thank God for our life right now, because, we've had it the other way. We've had not abundance. We've had not bills paid.
Well, I don't know if I can go here, not exactly, but we drove by one of the place you grew up as a kid, and this was cool to see, Brian. I wasn't going to say this on the podcast, but hopefully it's appropriate. But whatever. we were driving by one of the places you grew up in, and it was a very modest, little place, whatever. You say however you want to say it.
Modest is humble, or is nice to say.
Yeah. But, we're driving by, and then, we're there in your Tesla sitting out front, and like life has come. That was a really neat, for me in the passenger seat and seeing you there in this car and knowing it's not a house of cards that you're in currently, right?
Yeah.
And it was just, that's like the American dream, right? That was really cool to witness, Brian. That was really neat, man.
I guess I didn't have that perspective. I was just like,
it was cool to see, man. I got to say it.
Well, I'll tell you what, man, like that's the house where we were living in. It was a little 900 square foot apartment. This is, 20, 25 years ago, folks. And that's where I grew up. And it's Peters Road, if you guys want to look it up on Google Maps. And I told Caleb, like, how the place looks now looks like the Taj Mahal. It was all
it had vinyl siding and everything.
Dude, it was, I was like, yo, I'll go get an apartment there right now. You know what I'm saying? But it was dirt roads on a dirt road, dirt parking lot. And man, it was crazy. Like, just weird people living in the whole strip of apartments, little single place, like one row of apartments, maybe 20 units. But I never really looked at that full circle, bro, because we were way below middle class. You know, like we were broke, just broke people, man. But I guess it's kind of it is one of those things too where like I like that. This sounds like kind of self-serving, but I always hope that like when I drive by with the Tesla and you see like a little 9-year-old dude on the corner, and maybe he like when I drive through my mom's trailer park right now, and they're like, dude, that's a Tesla, and I'm like, I want to yell out like, dude, I was you 20 years ago.
Yeah, right.
But how do you not sound like a weirdo? You know, like driving by. But I want to somehow like say like I'm a car guy. You ever see like the car Instagrams where like some 8-year-old kids like rev the engine and some dudes in a Lambo like, you know. But that dude in the car who's 35 was like the 8-year-old kid that didn't have a dime to his name. Right. So I'm always like, how do you inspire like the next generation of kids or young adults or 20-year-old kid who's living on a prayer or 25-year-old young couple like Liz and I that were just broke and just like, dude, are we ever going to make any money with our green industry business?
Right.
So I don't know. Like, I always hope like somebody says, dude, you inspired me, you know?
It was, I know your story. I've heard your story before, right?
Yeah.
But to see it in person, always, there's no replacement for, physically witnessing, the whole life was there, life is here now. And it was so cool to see.
Well, thanks, man.
And it was neat, man. So
that's humbling. Yeah.
You ever, Adam Carolla did a thing a while ago. I just date myself so badly now.
Back in my day.
But Adam Carolla was doing a thing. He's like, whatever happened to the days where it's like, the father and son would be standing out on a street corner and a man in a nice Mercedes would go by and the father would say to the son, if you work hard and you're diligent, you too could buy a car like that someday. And Adam Carolla in his way, like, and now it's just, son, throw rocks at that car, and it's like something has shifted, right? And
so
it's
true.
like we've got to. Oh, geez, Brian, here we go again. But, we go on this road of like, okay, how do we teach our kids that are growing up with things that I never had?
Right.
How do we teach them to keep that mentality? I worry about that so much of like, how do we keep them humble and how do we make sure? And I actually mentioned this to a lot of parents. And the biggest thing they say is, well, they're going to pick up on how you behave. And if you're acting like that, like ungrateful and not humble for what you have and what you've earned and what the Lord has provided you with.
Sure.
They're going to pick up on that and they'll grow up to be rude a-holes too, And
one of your lines always more is caught than taught.
That's right. That's a Dave Ramsey thing. Yeah.
Is that right?
I got to give credit there. Yeah. His daughter, I think, is the one that's always spouting.
Please credit your source on our podcast.
You better. We can't plagiarize here. but I will Picasso this thing any chance I get to.
Well, as a famous guy once said, and then 3 episodes later, as I've always said.
Dude, I've said this forever.
This is just your first year of the podcast. Well, second year of the podcast. So now you're going to be like, as I've always said on the podcast, I think I said on episode 12.
It won't be long before I just stop wreshing Jordan Peterson and just take credit for all of it.
That or when he finally gets the restraining order filed. But one of the two.
It was just a misunderstanding.
This has been a fun conversation. We could probably ramble, honestly.
Yeah, we better shut this
for
down,
another hour, but we'll try to end on a high note. But this is what happens when Caleb and I get together. We're like, hey man, how's it going? And then it's like, dude, what do you think about life in the solar system and the universe? But you know what? It's like it's fun conversation. Like this is stuff that it sounds weird, but like I'll have people call me when I'm plowing snow. At 2, 3, 4, 5 in the morning, and I'll have 3.5 hour conversations. And after like the first 30, 40 minutes, it's like the superficial stuff, like how's business? Oh, customers suck. I hate people. Maybe that's
why do I do this?
Yeah, maybe you guys are more cherubs out there and more like positive attitudes. But after 2 hours into it or an hour into it, you start asking like real good conversation questions. And you start getting to know people, and you start diving deep, and you're like, hey man, like what's making you tick? And yeah, there's stuff like this that, I don't know, man, like the science of achievement versus the art of fulfillment talk and talking about values and philosophies and education. And I love what you said about the monkey and the fish. Like that'll stick with you. Like I'm a very visual person, as a lot of dudes are, right? And that stuff, kind of stuff sticks with me. And it's knowing. I heard somebody say last thought I'll say because I'm wrapping it up twice. That's the preacher in me. Because I'm the Apostle Brian Fullerton. Coming to a town near you, our little traveling circus. But somebody said once, I heard somebody say, and I don't know who it was. I can't give them credit, but they said like a majority of life is like preventative maintenance stuff.
My gosh, yeah.
It wasn't like how you're going to respond to something necessarily. It was like avoid the conversation entirely.
Don't put things in the fog.
don't put things in the fog. That's
the Peterson thing.
There's a parallel.
Yeah.
But that's it. I mean, like, so when you're having conversations with your kids and they're like, I feel stupid. It's like, could you have had a conversation before that so they never felt that thought?
Right. And maybe it was an uncomfortable conversation too, and you got to have it.
There are probably going to be a lot of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's kind of like, do you think that's air you're breathing? You know, like those kind of conversations. You know, it's like, oh no, you know, like how deep could this rabbit hole go? You know, so because at the end of the day, when you realize it, there is no spoon. You know, like those.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So, but any which way, this is fun conversation. Hope you guys enjoy it. We got to actually get running because these guys are going back to their hotel. We're all got to get up early for the Teco show block, Teco showcase.
Contractor showcase is what they technically.
This is my second year going, so I'm still getting the ropes or the reps under my belt. But I'm real excited about that. Did you know if Paper Pete's coming over here, or is it the other
I don't
guys?
know if he's hosting this one or not. I don't know.
He's just like doing like East Coast circuit, and then we get like the Midwest circuit.
Yeah, I hadn't even thought about that. I don't know who's doing tomorrow.
Well, you guys said 2 years ago, hey, look out for Paper Pete. Go say hey. And he wasn't there.
Yeah, I didn't realize they were beginning to farm out the hosts or whatever.
Yeah, well, I mean,
presenters.
Yeah, a huge.
And the guy that's in his place still does a real good job.
I forget the guy's name that did it here, but he did it. I went up and met him afterwards, and he was a really nice guy. Him and another guy did the show, and they did a banger job. So we got that first thing in the morning. We're going to shut this podcast down. Actually, by the time you guys hear this, we would have already been to the contractor showcase the day before on Thursday, as you guys listen to this on Friday. So any which way, if you guys, to go full circle, man, if you guys ever get the opportunity to go to these things, check it out. They're always a great time. You always learn something new every time, and if anything, it's just a great time to network, like Caleb said, even polish up. Caleb was joking earlier, like he's forgot more things than some of the newest people will ever know, right? And
no, I didn't say that. I said it to myself. I have forgotten more than I've learned.
I'm just messing with you, but that's it keeps you sharp, Right. And but man, I'll tell you what, it is really cool to see you guys up here, still hungry for it, still chasing after it, and of course, selfishly getting to hang out with you guys for a couple hours. So, any which way, guys, Caleb, really quick, where can they find you, and then we'll button it up.
At Auman Landscape, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all that junk.
Awesome, man. We'll give them a follow, and then also check them out on the Kid Contractor podcast. Always one of my go-to listens. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and just crossed over 200,000 downloads in their first
Which
year.
is more than 1 million that Brian hit.
Yeah, Common Core math. We've kind of touched on all of it this episode.
How long are we gone?
1 hour.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Okay,
so once we include the ads, 2 hours.
Oh, jeez. You've become what you hate.
I've turned into the monster. What do they say? Like what's the Batman one? Like you've
embraced the darkness.
No, like you live long enough to be the hero or die the villain. One of the two. So like I was one of the whatever it is. So now it's like the whole show. It's just we should just do 1 hour podcast of all ads just to get them out of the way for the just to get it out of the way for the year. Like
the ad episode. Yeah,
this is all of our show sponsors. It's like the commercial free hour on radio.
Yeah.
So the Monday show's all ads, and then Wednesday and Friday are all content.
That'd probably have a good download rate.
I don't know why our Mondays are dropping off.
Yeah, Mondays are just performing terribly.
Or Mondays are our best episode ever.
Well, that's fair.
Sometimes there's good ads out there. I like listening.
That's fair. Yeah, sometimes they let you put some good ones in.
I do like listening to podcast ads, long cure otherwise, But so now all of a sudden I have like Purple Mattress. I have all these different headphones, all this different stuff because I listen to the Ben Shapiro show all the time. But just having fun. All right, guys. Well, appreciate you guys listening in. Fullerton Unfiltered podcast, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. If you guys are new here to the show, hit the follow button. If you guys want to learn more of what we got going on, and we got about 300 other episodes where you guys can dive deep. And you know what, guys? As you guys run out the door and we start getting towards the spring rush here, man, I just hope you guys have the best season ever. But it's going to be a wild 2022. But we'll be here with you guys every step of the way, man. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, make sure you guys check back in 7 a.m. And that's what I got for you. So over and out, we'll kick it back over to Marty, Mr. Producer, and we look forward to catching up with you guys here on the next one.
Hey, it's Marty, and I've been in the communications business for a long time. And our dirty little secret, well, among several secrets, is that we're just not very good at truly communicating.
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
Do you feel that way about your communication with clients? That it's just not as strong as it should be? That is why Brian has the Growing Your Business with Customizable Newsletters course over at LaunchpreneurAcademy.com. This is an opportunity to increase sales through better communication.
Help me! Help me!
Every month you're invoicing and billing, and that is the perfect time to share new and exciting information with your customers.
Check this out. I'm sending you some email.
Monthly email newsletters are a powerful way to educate, inform, upsell, and just keep the overall atmosphere of your business in tip-top shape.
Wow.
Get started today at lawentrepreneuracademy.com, and that link is on your podcast app.
Thanks for taking the time to listen to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast with Brian Fullerton. We hope you enjoyed this production. If so, please consider leaving us a 5-star review for the show. While the techniques and ideas presented here are designed to help you grow a more successful and profitable business, no one can guarantee these results for you. We want to emphasize that entrepreneurship is not easy, and the ideas presented here are just the opinions of Brian Fullerton and his respective guests. No one can guarantee success for you. That being said, we hope the ideas presented here help you and motivate you to go on out there and crush it with your own business.
Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast.
Thanks for listening, and we hope to see you on the next episode.
This has been a Brian Fullerton and Mr. Producer production.